All right. So that was a good break away from things for a week. Gave me some time to reflect and think about where I'm at and what I'm doing. And so I think I've come to some clear conclusions. Let's actually start by looking at the board. So what I've been working on for a couple of weeks now is trying to get accuracy above 90%. I have succeeded at doing that. I mean, if we look at even the last merged PR from 2 weeks ago, like the one test scenario, shaky, we got it to 92. I've since gotten it above 94% in terms of like the text distance from what we're expecting. And then these other ones, you can see like they're pretty solidly in the 80s. So I am going to spend 30 minutes this morning cleaning up this pull request. There's a lot of changes here, but the final verdict was, I think like I had succeeded at getting shaky above 94. Actually, if we go look at that, I just ran it again just now to check. Yes, I got shaky at like 94, which is pretty good. It's still, I mean, it's not close enough. I mean, maybe it is close enough. I don't know. I see mistakes. I see errors in the data. Errors that I think if I were reading a book would give me pause. Like I wouldn't be happy. I did do an experiment the other day where I went back to one of like the perfect images where I had a book laying flat on a desk with good lighting, and I took a picture with a good camera. And that one, I don't remember what the score was because I computed it a different way, but the quality was so good. In fact, I had trouble finding mistakes in the result. So I'm very confident I can get these numbers higher. But as you can see here, this dropped to 80. This is now 82. So I think I just need to clean up this pull request. And I should be able to get these two numbers higher. And then this one, probably back down to around 92. And as long as that's the case, as long as we're like solid 80s and above, I think I'm going to move on. So I'm going to spend a quick 30 minutes cleaning up this PR and then move on. I've created a new task over here. I'm going to call this a success because I've gotten at least one of the test scenarios consistently above 90. So I know we can do better than 90% accuracy. But I'm kind of tired of working on OpenCV. I think I've lost the plot a little bit, and I think I need to move on. Also, I think it's the kind of thing of let me go build out all the other things that are important, and if we get to the place where the one thing keeping this from launching, the one thing that's keeping it from me putting it in the hands of other human beings is OCR accuracy, then great. I will circle back and spend a week or two and figure out whatever it is I was blocked out. I'm sure, it's like all things in code. It's like one of those things, you'll slam your head against the wall for a week and you'll finally figure it out. And then when you do, it's like 2 lines of code. So for now, I'm going to move on from this. I'm calling that done. I've added a task over here for 95% accuracy. Denoise and sharpening, I've actually done a bit of that. I pulled over that code, so I think that can go away. Under 10 seconds, I think we might be under 10 seconds. If we look at this one, we're averaging around 6 seconds here. But I think I'd done even better than that. Some of these are pretty bad. Like that one's like 10 seconds. But I think I know how to fix that though. But even these, like we're seeing like 5 seconds, 3 seconds for this one, 4 for that one. And the one that's slow is the one where we only have one good frame. And I think that's because Tesseract ends up doing a bunch of extra cycles to try to fix things. So I think in the process of working in OpenCV, obviously doing OpenCV logic slows things down, but it makes Tesseract faster because Tesseract doesn't have to work as hard. So I think what's going on here, that's the case. That's why this is an outlier. So if we ignore that, we're actually well below 5 seconds here. Now, what does that mean when we put on the VR headset? I think that means we're probably, maybe that's one thing we can measure today, see how bad we are. But I think that puts us maybe anywhere from like 10 to 15 seconds, maybe. So I think for now, I'm going to drag this out of what we're doing here. I'm going to do merging Hocker results, and then I'm going to do improve text display in VR. The merging Hocker results is interesting because this may, like, I was trying to treat this as a last resort, but this may fix things. And so what this would mean is, so as part of the Hocker results, let's take a look at this real quick. Yeah, so here, let me queue up what we're going to do today. So we'll just say display OCR text in VR. It's something we were doing already, but I want to fix it. I want to improve the location of it. I want to use the Hocker data to determine the location of the text on the page. I want to maybe pick a better font. Like, I want to start testing, like, how readable can it be? Let's see here. Improve letter dewarp sharpness. I actually think I did that. Test rearranging step order. I did that a little bit. Yeah, we got to 5 seconds. Yeah, let's call it done. So, merge final OpenCV PR. Let's do that. And then we are going to do merging Hocker results. And then improve VR text rendering. Let's do that. And then we'll do, let's, as a stretch goal, choose a new font. All right. That's what we're doing today. So if we look at, do I still have it up here or did I kill it? Here we go. Yeah, I deleted it. Okay, that file's gone. But I can also just say it. So when we have Hocker results, and that's like an XML document. So actually, if I do this dash skip, and we'll go with good. Why not? And we'll get our test results back here. Do we write the Hocker results anymore, or did I turn that off? I think I turned it off. Yeah, we turned it off. Okay, fine. Maybe that'll be something, one of the first things we fix today. So when you get Tesseract to spit out Hocker results, one of the things it does is it will say, hey, I think this is the word put. And here's my confidence level. Here's how confident I am. So it'll give confidence numbers for all of these. So one of the things I want to do is actually store that. So we go, hey, let's go back to Godot code for a change. Crazy idea. The test suite is pretty perfect, right? I don't need to make any changes here. But man, distractions, we'll get there. So if we go to OCR manager, so I have these like OCR page and OCR line. And basically when we return the results from Tesseract, here we go. We get XML text. And so I use XML parser to parse that. And then what we do is we iterate over those results and we go look at it. It basically just looks like HTML, basically. And then what I'm doing is I'm constructing lines and pages. So I'm trying to figure out, like, what is a line, what is a page? Eventually, I'm probably going to put these in a database. At least keep around the last couple of pages. Basically cache a couple pages worth of text. That way, if you're reading a book and you're flipping back and forth, we don't have to, like, completely work from scratch. But one of the goals here would be, so right now, I'm storing the B box for the line, the bounding box for the line. Maybe that's fine. And then text. Let's see here. Maybe I'm just creating a new line, right? Add line. So we get a new line. Where do we use that? Text. Get OCR line. Gotcha. Okay, so we're taking XML here and we're looping through and we're just basically building a text string. We're building a flat string for the whole line of text. I think I'm not going to do that anymore. I think I'm going to do storing each word separately as their own element. And I could do this as a class the way I'm doing it. I don't know what the memory cost is or any of that for keeping it as like a class instance, because we're going to end up with like 1,000 of these easily. Maybe I'll start with that as the naive approach, and then when I find out later performance is bad, deal with it. But basically we would have an OCR page which is made up of OCR lines, and lines are made up of words. So then I can store that score on it. And what this means then is the second time we come back with OCR results, I can check to see if we already have a page containing, if we already have that page. So as we OCR the new page, do we already have it? And if we do, okay, then merge it. And so then if I have two words and one of them was lower confidence, then when we merge it, like we'll just keep all the higher confidence results. And so then the end result would be maybe like the first time we OCR the page, we only have a confidence of 80, but we render that in the scene. And then a few seconds later, we OCR it again, and now all of a sudden, like certain sections of the page, we were able to scan better this time. So that means as you start reading, like the page is going to update with that better text. That's kind of the idea there. So that is maybe what I'm going to do right now. But first, let's finish this up. So notes to myself. Here, let me go through let me code review myself right here. All right, so this cropping improved things, so we'll keep it. Yeah, this improved things a good amount. Okay, let's keep that then. Okay, this does a pretty good job of getting back missing details and closing circles. For Shaky, it boosted things, but for everybody else, it tanked their scores. Okay, let's not do that then. So if I do skip and I rerun the whole test suite, let's do that. Do that. Here, let me clean those up. I'll just bring in all the elements that actually worked. Actually, let me do this. Okay. So then what I'll do come down here. And that the rest of this will just, I'll keep this comment out. It's super ugly. I should just delete it, especially since I have things in source control. But I end up keep bringing back this code as I experiment with different things. So let's do this. I'll end up cleaning it up eventually. It's fine. So we do the rescaling based on letter height. That's fine. Oh, I may have to undo this change, but that's okay. And then what am I saying? So I want to undo this. So previously, okay, all that's new. What did I have before? I just didn't do it. Okay. So maybe what I'll do is I'll bring this up here. So this is what we've got. And then I'll do on the right track though. I think that was a good approach. Just not what we wanted right now. Okay, so I will do rescale here. And then I'm gonna record these results. Instead of doing it right here though, let me do on the PR. So before final refactor and merge, scores were so I would have expected these two to be identical, but oh, they are identical. I could have sworn I got like a 94. And I did skip. Weird. It's literally identical though. Which I would have expected. Other than the runtime took a little longer. Let's see. Like, oh, it's because I turned it off. I was like, what do you mean it's not working? What do you mean all the scores got terrible? Fine, one more run. And that's building. So while that runs, I'll continue the code review. If it comes back as the same score, I'll just delete that last comment. Okay, so I'm undoing that. And then let's see here. That's all fine. I think then this helped things, I knew that. So doing the ordered frames helped. Yeah, once we get one good alignment, end early, that helps with speed. This, I think I just need to undo the rescale by letter height. 92.6, huh? Could have sworn I saw 94 there. Fair enough. Let's delete it. Don't want to confuse things. Okay, so now comment this out. We'll do rescale. And I did just run that a second ago, and I know the score was terrible, so I'm not going to worry about that. And then if we go to our camera and answer, I think if we bring this back, that was just like oddly tuned to my specific needs for some reason. And I think that might be it. That might be the only change we have to make before this is ready to be merged. Yeah, and that's just the test suite and such, right? And then I'll update the scores. Okay, so what did we end up with when we roll back like this? So 54, that goes up quite a bit. Almost 50, 55. Yeah, so that went up a whole 10 points. Align frames is an 83. Same. Good, got an 80. Really? Could have sworn 92.4. Like no change on shaky. And the run times are faster. Things ran faster. Was there another change I made that needed to be... It's not going to be the test suite. That's not going to have affected things. Well, one thing I can do real quick is I can run... Who's doing bad? Good. Good is doing pretty bad. So let's bring that back out to extra large. Yeah, 3 images. I think our binarizations. Well, but I think what I've learned was if I send grayscale into Tesseract, Tesseract's binarization is pretty good. You know what it probably was? It was cropping up here, right? By having that included, it like got a little confused. that it? Was it just like stupid cropping? That wouldn't surprise me. I just really want to get back to something at least close to the scoring from before, so I can just say that hopefully this PR makes a positive impact, is what I want to be able to say. Okay, so I turned this back on, so no impact there. The ordered frames should help. I mean, I saw that improve the score. Unless somehow the order is backward. But I don't think it would be. But I could run that just as a test. Yeah, let's do that. Just to make sure we're not crazy. I could do this and then just do... but see, that removes the... Quite annoying. Okay, fine. We will add this back in. Here, let me run that. While that's running. Okay, we bring that back in, and what did we have? Yeah, we're just looking at frames. Okay, so we're at an average score of 77. Yeah, which is higher, by the way. But that's largely because this one went up by 10 points. Average time is 5.6. Okay. And now if I run this, 77.56, I should see a drop. Let's see what this does. $77.50. Huh. I remember seeing this improve things. I wonder if this logic is backward. It says sort by ascending score. So what if I flip that? Well, let's do... Really? Okay, so we were 77.850. Fine, I'll be very picky about it. So this was with no ordering of frames. I mean, I guess I could see it not mattering because I'm doing 3 frames which means we're doing our template frame in the middle. And then we've got one frame on either side. And there might only be like a slight difference between those two. Whereas if we did 5 frames, ordering them would matter. So this is at 4853. Flip the sign. All right, we'll do and then let me flip it back the other way. Yeah, 4853, right? So with no ordering, the score went higher. I think, yeah, I had the sign correct because I did remember seeing it work before. All right, well, we'll know in a moment. $78 at 4.4. So it's slightly improved things. All right, fine. I'm gonna keep it. So it does seem like it did improve things. Right? Yeah, because it would be the less than sign. All right, didn't move the needle that much though. Not as much as I thought it did. I will say though that like bringing in all the data from all the merges does help things, but I'm going to leave it off for now because I want the speed. Crop with margins. And then again, I just undid all this logic. Interesting crop with margins. So are we saying skip that? Because that's the only other step I've really added here. Okay, we'll test it. Like, I'll keep the step in here. Well, I can just do that. And we were at 78.44. So we were at 78.00 at 44 seconds. And that's actually kind of been the funny thing. The interesting thing about this is you'd think that by removing the step, the speed would get faster, but it might not, because if the quality goes down and Tesseract has to work harder, I think that actually slows things up. So it is interesting how like extra operations in OpenCV can save you time in Tesseract. So our score went up slightly, and our time went up a little bit. So I think I'll keep it. And what that means is our final result then is wait, hold on a sec. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, so 78 made it better. Not 78. Yeah, 78.47 without it. So if we compare these two, yeah, we were at 78 before. That's true. And I have shaved off like a second of time. So that's really going to be the net effect of this. Yeah, we're still at around 78. We've just shaved off at least like a half second. And then the cropping though, forget, if I go 50 here, $77.78. No, that hurt things. Okay, fine, we're done. I'm gonna do /build -all. We'll do a git status -s. I am going to remove this file now. I don't think I need it. And by the way, it is in source control, should I ever need it again. Where is the... Yeah, this has been like a annoyance. It's just sitting here to me. If we remove... Oh. Right, that's kind of different, isn't it? Do I need that? No, I don't need it. Let's delete that. Right? Because this is like really old logic at this point. Yeah, it was just a bunch of experimental kind of things. Let's delete it from here, just because I know Godot can be picky. Okay, there we go. And then I think one last thing I need to do. We'll run -skip on that, and that'll get us our final results. So git add bin. Star.gd. Git add source. Do final cleanup. Basic image cleanup. Yeah, well, fine. And then our final report looks like this. All right, so then we end up with, yeah, we knocked a whole second off. And we're back above 78, apparently. Oh, I didn't do the, darn. Let me fix the expected results. So, align frames, you're at 84. And you know what, I'll call it 4 seconds. Like, I expect you to finish in 4 seconds. Align frames crop. I expect a 54 from you. And I'm going to say 10 seconds for that one. Man, good really got trounced a little bit, didn't it? How was good doing before? $83, huh? Interesting that the average score is the same. I guess the average score is probably a bit lower, though. But okay, we'll go 80. And we'll say this is 6 seconds. And this one is 92. And we'll say 5 seconds. Yeah, I'll say they're both 5 seconds. Let me go edit that comment. I'll close this because I'm going to have to close Godot anyway, since I'm going to be changing branches. Godot never seems happy when I do that. Whoa, aligned frames also dropped? Huh. Alright, let me clean up the test data. I'm a little unhappy there that we're like back down to the low 80s. It's not really what I was expecting. Seems wrong, and then the average score is still 78. Well, now it's not anymore. It's lower. All right, that's fine. It'll give me an excuse to go fix it sometime later, right? I'm okay if it's off. I'll live with it. All right, update scores. All right. that's it. Done with that. So the final result is, actually, I probably have to go up here. Let me edit this. Yeah, I don't even know when this is from anymore at this point. So final scores after cleanup. That way I know what I'm saying here. So now I got that there. Yeah, so this way I could always come back here and say, yeah, see, even like this is still better than this. Really? Kind of hurts my heart a little bit to merge this code change, but that's fine. I'm actually going to say a bunch of changes that mostly just boost speed. At the end of the day, that's really all I accomplished. All right, merge, done. Yeah, so I have these other improvements. But it was nice, though, over the course of several code changes to watch like this score go up and this score go down, because again, like go back a couple of changes, it was at 72 in almost 6 seconds. Then we're at like 78. And I forget what the one before this was, but it was even slower than that. And like, yeah, like, yeah, it was fun to watch. So I'll close these for now, but I know I'll come back to them. And the de-warping text, I forgot about you. I am not going to focus on this right now, but where did it get to? Yeah, I had gotten it up. Yeah, I was working in the 80s at one point, right? So, and this one was even like 56. Whew. 2 weeks ago? I guess I've come a long way. I really have. Because now I'm definitely up in the 90s and 80s. This definitely got above 90. Yeah, okay. I'd be curious what would happen if I revisited this now. But that'll have to remain a curiosity because I'm not going to do it. All right, now let's move on. Merging Haka results. Let me update our tasks. Let's see here. Let me just drag this down for visibility. All right, took 45 minutes instead of 30, but that's done. Okay. So I close Godot, good. Git checkout main. Git branch -d basic. Git pull origin main. I didn't close this. Hopefully this refreshed just fine. I think it did. I think VS Code knows how to do that. Now if I open Godot, what's it gonna do? Because sometimes Godot will like re-import everything because it thinks everything's different. Yeah, it's so interesting that it keeps changing these files, but every time I check them in or something, like I've wanted to just ignore them. Maybe I will. Yeah, I don't know. And also, this, I need that because it keeps breaking the hand tracking. But we're going to get rid of hand tracking soon. So, all right, I can close VS Code because I don't have to care about that for the moment. I will want to run tests, though. So this will be the interesting thing is... Oh yeah, by the way, is camera enhancer even used anymore? I might be able to like even delete this file because I don't even think I'm using it anymore. Like none of this, all this is all commented out code now, right? Because now everything is to, like we have the test suite. We've got OCR manager still. We have main. Yeah, I don't think it's used. And then these ones are like simple. The debug HUD is pretty basic. Yeah, you used to have code here for this, but that all got ripped out. The detector's got nothing to it. All right. Let's not get distracted though. So, get OCR word, huh? Right, so we get our OCR line. All right, so then here's all, I think here's all I gotta do then. This isn't gonna be that hard. So it's basically gonna be class OCR word. We're gonna have our var text. I'm a little used to C++ at the moment, so that's kind of getting me. What are we using this for? Nothing. And the line height, nothing. We just have our B box, right? So we will have our bounding box for it. And then what we will have is a score. And that's going to be a float. And then I think we can just do an init function and that's it. Do self dot, and then I will close these down, and to keep it all organized, okay. Copying and pasting things around is a little bit annoying. Okay, single gap there, and then single gap there. But we'll come back to that. So that should be all we need. And then this is now going to be an array of OCR line. Sorry, clicked on the wrong thing. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to borrow this. I think we'll get rid of text. Call this words. Here, let's do that. Let me just get the method signatures. Yeah, there we go. And then I'll probably add like a helper function if I just need the raw text, but for now, maybe I don't. This might not be the right way to go about this, but I'll go with it. Okay, you two aren't being used, so let's just kill you. This text, I think I'm going to have to make that a function. I probably don't need is junk anymore. I could probably just get rid of that altogether. Because I'm cleaning up all the junk on the back end. Yeah, I probably don't need is junk anymore. But we'll get to that. Okay, so let's close some of these things. Yeah, get bbox value. So get OCR line. So get OCR word. And now we just return this string. I wonder if I can call this. I mean, what if I just run it? Am I going to hit this here? I'll probably hit an error sooner, but no, it's not going to do anything, right? Because I think I have that turned off. Can I run the test suite and hit that line? Let me just run good. So that'll build, and that should run. I don't think it'll hit a breakpoint though. I think there is a way to do it, but I never got it working. I think I tried to get it working. Also, now because the test suite does call it, right? If I do vim run tests, what do I have here? So I do have a -b option. What if I do that? And now I run it again. Will I hit a breakpoint? Interesting. I don't have any other breakpoints. That'd be hilarious if one of like the libraries I pulled in has a breakpoint set. I'll just search for breakpoint here. But this would be Godot XR Tools hand, collision hand. Or maybe on breakpoint we just stop at any error. Well, I found the word breakpoint somewhere. Okay, that's annoying. So I can't hit breakpoints without running the VR headset for the moment. Actually, let's do this. Okay, so now it ran the whole time, but it didn't hit anything. If I do dash skip, that should skip the build. Huh. By the way, hold on, I just realized my phone isn't charging. Let me fix that. There we go. Oh, let me hold on a second. Creating a mess. Okay, back. Interesting. So one of our XR tools does have yeah, I wonder. Okay, well, anyway, I can't really, for the most part, it's not really working. So I think I just have to do without. Oh, wow. The word breakpoint shows up a lot. All right, fine. That's okay. Not going to be able to do breakpoints. Let me see. How can I test this? I mean, I should be able to test it directly, right? I should be able to like alter the test suite to just call... But I want a breakpoint. I want to be able to like see what's in it. I'm trying to think of how I coded this up before. Because I don't know what this object looks like. I mean, I guess I could. Well, parser.read, okay. Ugh. Let me see what my options are. Can I just write out a file? Because that would make my life a bit easier. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what I did before. Speaking of, I am getting results coming up in here. But it's just going to be images. So now if I run it again, and again, we'll skip the build so we can just go right through Godot. In theory, I may have Hawker results now. Did it not? What's the test suite doing? I mean, we should have OCR manager, right? Yeah, we preload it. Yeah, got results from OCR. And we call on text scanned. Ooh, I wonder if this doesn't go to the right folder. Huh. So where would that go to? Ooh. Debug log. This might be debug HUD, right? Create log file. And create log file is just going to do this write file. So actually, I might be able to do this here. Because we have writing files, right? Or rather here. Let me check. Nope. And then I mean, this is a little utility method, that's all it is. I mean, I guess debug HUD. I mean, I still want this here for debug HUD, but maybe. So this is debug log. And right now it's just emitting a signal. Which the debug HUD has to pick up, but I'm not sure it will ever. But the test suite could. And the test suite does know its dates, so I could have that. Fine, let's do that. What does that look like? Yeah, I can just kind of pull these over. And that should all work. The only issue would be like the root folder. So current root folder. Current folder. Wow. So current folder. And we're doing this on every create folder, create on. That feels wrong to me, but okay. But it works. It doesn't break. I would think that this create folder would be called for this, not the root. Because we do this on every test case. And it already exists. So maybe, probably because on the C++ side, it already does that as well. So current folder is just used there and there. Manually set images. We specify the folder and then we reuse it. We don't know what the current folder is, do we? Okay, well, we weren't using this before, but now we can. So I can just do current folder. And now, if I come down here, there. Now I may actually write it. So So if I run that now, I think the signal just never got sent, right? Let's go with requested write file. And then if we go to the test suite here, because it should write, right? This is the debug log received. Game state.log. Writing file 2. Let's try that again. Writing 4.2. 2025-07. Good. So we got there. So I didn't need that. So we did pick it up. Oh, right. But that's the test suite. The test suite doesn't care. I thought I changed the root folder. Well, I guess debug HUD would always be this way, right? Is there a... Okay, I think I lost that somewhere. What about in C++? So if I do a camera enhancer, save debug image, here we are. Current debug folder. Get platform debug path. Right, okay, there we go. This is probably what I want. I thought it might have to do, like, you know, as a resource path, but it makes sense why it doesn't care. Because we're just writing to the file system, right? So, come on, don't do that to me. That shouldn't care. In fact, I should do this. Ooh, hold on. And now I should get a better writing file too. I remember at some point, I think maybe this is when I was running VR on local. I had to do it as a resource path maybe. Okay, that path looks right to me. So, did we get it? Hey, we finally got it. Okay. No, I don't want to open it in a browser, especially not that browser. I guess I could open with code. Although I'm not a fan of any software that tries to like take over and want to be the default for everything. Always bugs me. All right, fine. Here we are. So I'm not getting the scores, right? I do have bbox info, so we're parsing that out of the title. All right, let me get rid of this. That's kind of annoying / embarrassing. It took me that long to fix that. All right, so what am I working on? Well, okay, this is the test suite. I don't care about the test suite anymore. Now I'm on to, back to here. Cool, so we're writing the Hocker results again. And I need those to get OCR word, which before, right, so we would get the title and then get bbox value, does a split, and basically pulls out these numbers here, and then can, you know, puts them in a format that we know that we could write. I think that we could write it. I don't know. So one of the steps I want to do with this is, I already did this in Python when I was experimenting with some quality control issues, where I was basically, if the score was below, if the confidence score was below 50, so we do get confidence. XWConf is here. That's the confidence right there. Anyway, yeah, we're like, if the confidence score is below a certain threshold, draw a red box around the text. So I think I could do the same thing here. Or like put like an underline underneath it, right? And like just make it a little more obvious that, or like gray it out a little bit. I don't know. Something that's going to help me understand what's going on. Okay. So let's try that. We should be able to just do this. I might as well do it for the line as well. It doesn't really cost anything. Interesting that, okay, so we do the read okay. I wonder. Let me see here. So we do, yeah, there's our text. OCR result page 1. Page 1. add page text. Page 1 dot page text, which is going to be, could I pull this down any further? I wish you could just fully hide this bottom area. I don't think I can. Okay. So we have page text here. And I'm going to end up doing the same thing for line. I mean, let's start with that, right? We could do line text. And then over here, we would do line text. Right? So then page text doesn't change. It does its thing. OCR line no longer has text anymore. It now has a function. All right, let's get rid of this junk. I don't think we need it anymore. And if I need to bring it back, I could always bring it back. Okay, so for Word OCR Word in words. Word.text. And we probably would add a space in between each one. And then when we join them, that may uglify things. But that's okay. So we now have our line text, which we get from the page. And the page gets it from the word. Okay. Yeah, why is this all funked out? Where's OCR Manager? There we go. That was funky. Okay, so I wonder if okay, so we return our line and we initialize it as a new thing. With our text. But how do we initialize our page? Yeah, let's leave that open. Okay, so it doesn't have that. It just gets its own init. Well, it doesn't need this anymore. I mean, I guess I'll keep it with its box. So what we would do then is we would bring this up here. And we just pass our B-box into it. And we're no longer building this. We are doing... We're doing add line, basically. Yeah, this is going to get messed up too. Is junk doesn't exist anymore. Let's just get rid of it. Again, we shouldn't have to care about junk. Yeah, we're doing this whole max X thing. That's fine. We'll do an add word. I don't know even if we need to do that, right? Line text is not declared in the current. Oh, fine, whatever. We might not even need to do that. We should be able to just do words. OCR. Yeah. Let's try that. OCR line dot words dot append. Okay. There. So we're just going to append our word to it. Our word object. And that might be all we have to do there. And then up here, we're in theory doing the same thing. By the way, this is going to return an OCR word. Which, what is the point of the typing here? I mean, well, I know the point of the typing, but you'd think it would have yelled at me because this returns a string, but then we're appending it here to something that is an array of word objects. It should have yelled that this was returning a string. So we get our title. We'll do our OCR word. And then OCR word. Word is that. I think we can instead do dot text is that. And then we need a score, right? Okay, fine. Let's just keep it simple. I mean, it's slightly flatter this way, I think. But we could do our word, and then we could do like 1.0, right? That's the score. So now we have to get the score. That's our title. The title should be everything. So the title's going to be this whole thing. So what I could do then is do var score is of type float, and we are going to get score title. Now we pass that in, and we'll just copy this because it's going to be very similar. And now we just need a float. For chunk. All right, so probably what we just need to do is title.split on the semicolon, and then we will get the first element. And then we'll probably then split again. Well, I don't know. We don't technically need to do all that work. We could just do a split here on this. So that's going to get us everything before as element 0, and everything after is going to be the score. We'll get everything after as 1. And then we'll do a dot strip edges. And there we are. Var score float equals that. Now the problem is, cannot assign a value of type string. For some reason I thought these were floats. They're not. They're integers. So we can just do int, wrap the whole thing. And it's not going to complain ever, but it should. And then up here at OCR word, our score isn't it. And that should be done. Now, there's always a risk, you know, there's a risk that like, hey, if our title's empty, or if it only has one element, or, you know, I guess in this case it only has one element. The bigger risk would be here if it doesn't have that confidence score. If it has like the bounding box only, then we would have like a index out of range kind of thing. I'm a fan of like you wait till something's a problem and then you fix it. Don't preemptively try to optimize your code. Done with coffee, switching to water. So I'm going to wait until this errors on me because I don't think it ever will. And if it does, there's, you know, a couple of hacky solutions, right? You can just wrap the whole thing in a try except and return 0 for the score if it doesn't show up. That obviously hides the error, doesn't really help things. I mean, you know, it's like one of those things, like if this value's not there, there's probably a bigger problem. I mean, I think it is always there. Now, if there is an edge case where maybe under certain circumstances, Tesseract doesn't return the score because, I mean, here we got like a score of 0, right? You know, maybe there's an edge case or a bug in Tesseract where it won't return a score for whatever reason. If that happens, then I'll add, then that's a good scenario for like, hey, let's do some like fine, narrow catching here so that we always get a score and just return 0. But yeah, let's run this. See what we get. In theory, we should get the same result as before. We got a 0, and we got a stack trace. Is junk not found? Didn't get anything. Okay. This will be a little bit of a pain to debug without the headset, right? I mean, but why? Like, I should be able to call this. Couldn't I create like a new test suite scenario? Maybe I can do that. Let me take a quick look to see if it makes sense for me to set this up. Although, I guess, nah, it's not really going to help me because I can't set breakpoints, right? Whereas I know with the headset I can. I don't really want to bark up that tree right now. But that would be the... I mean, I could probably set up a test scenario where I could just load, you know, the Hawker file XML and just call the function. That way we would skip all the image writing. And the test would run faster, right? But yeah, I mean, that'd be a great little unit test just for the XML logic. The problem is I can't hit a breakpoint without the headset. And I really don't want to put on the VR headset right now. Let me take a quick look to see if I can figure this out without it. So, come through here. We're only going to have page 1 anyway, for the moment. Current page is page 1. If current page set lines is empty, continue. Continue is going to just go through the while loop, right? Let's start cutting to the bone, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so we're going to loop until we hit an OCR line, is what it's saying right now. We'll do this, structure things a little better. Okay, so that means it's going to like not care about this, not care about this. It'll hit this. And once it hits this, it's going to call and say, hey, go get me that OCR line. It's then going to add that line and expect a success. I don't think I need this anymore. If not success, we switch to page 2 and then we add that line. And then we would keep going because now we would be on a different page. But I'm now going to rely on because the back end OpenCV in C++, it is actually going to split the image in 2 and it's going to OCR page 1, then it's going to OCR page 2. It's not sending anything about that yet, but what's going to happen is this signal, when we get it, should tell us whether or not we're page 1 or page 2 right now. So I can just gut this. Yeah, so all we would do, again, simple while loop. And we're going to get the OCR line. Now you could argue that this should be a part of the class. And maybe I will make it a part of the class, like this function. Because then instead of it being... Yeah, we're just saying, hey, for each line, go process it. I mean, you could even argue, like, initialize the page and then pass in the whole parser, you know, and then just let it handle it internally. That's refactor optimization I'm not going to worry about. So we have a line. We go get our title, our bounding box. We initialize our line. And then again, we loop through our nodes. And this is depth, so we're going deeper. We're like going tiers deeper in, which we only really should go one tier deeper. But if there's horizontal, if there's like a horizontal line, if there's other stuff going on the page, this could be a more nested object than it looks like. So we're going to go a depth deeper. And if we get an OCRX word as our class for a class attribute, then we're going to say, let's append that to our words, or to our line, the words. If not, then we break, right? So then we get OCR word. And again, same thing should happen. Now, I think that may have fixed things, so let me just run this. It did not. Okay, so something's not working here. What I should do is let's start with like where we know it's going to break. I'm going to do found word. And I'm going to guess we're either never going to hit this line. One of two things will happen. Either we never hit the line, or we're going to see a ton of log statements around it. And then we know it's retrieval, not appending. Oh, now all of a sudden it decides to work, right? So there's our found words. But they all have an extra space in them. So I think we can get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Let's run it again. What did the score give us for that, by the way? Ah, score's fine. Okay, good. I think we're back to where we were. Yeah. And then one thing I can do, just to make sure everything's working right, actually, let's come down here. We'll do GameState.log. A word score. And we will do page 1 dot lines. We'll go for the first line dot words. We'll go with the 0 with word dot score. And maybe what we'll do is for a word, OCR word equals, and let's just go get this one. And then we can do a word dot, well, we can do string on that, right? And then we can also do and let's see what we get. This will just be a nice little gut check, make sure we're getting the things we're supposed to get. Score went up slightly. Poof 19. Poof 19. And then what's our bounding box for that? So I think that all that worked. I can't see why it wouldn't have worked. Man, the scores are wildly shifting. I wonder why that is. That shouldn't be the case. So it's 20202638. Okay. So we got everything. So I wonder if I can do the merging experiment now. There. I'll leave this here for the moment, just in case I need to debug something shortly. So the question would be, if we ran 2 tests in a row, what would happen? So the OCR manager, well, game state should hold on to page 1, right? This is add page text. Page 1. Well, I guess game state doesn't care about that. But OCR manager probably does. Well, we create our new instance here. We add our page text, and then we kill it. So one test I could do is, instead of this being here, I could move it to game state. Takes 2 seconds. And then the question is, what happens if we do our merging? So what would we do? We would build it, and instead of add page text, we would do update page. And we would, yeah, so that's the thing that's going to happen, is we're not going to have, okay, let's change this from now on. Let's do page is an int that's going to equal 1. So we'll get rid of, let's move this. Let's start refactoring things. OCR page. Yeah. Game state doesn't really know about that. OCR manager. Like the game state doesn't care about you, right? Main does? Test suite does. So under this new scheme, we would create a new OCR manager. Which would have its classes. I mean, I guess you could say, like, look, OCR manager. But that's the whole point of this file. I guess I could move these out for now. But then I effectively end up gutting the whole file practically to do that, because then all these functions have to get pulled out. Maybe. Gross. Well, what happens if I do it? Now, I mean, game state shouldn't care about that. Game state should be able to do its own thing. All right, let's try it. Huh. All right, what if we did... Could not find OCR page. Oh, maybe it's cannot. Right. Okay, fine. Is it gonna be this ugly? It does not contain a type. It's probably that. Okay, that's fine. So we've got our page. Eventually, this is just going to be an array, I think. It'll just be an array of pages. It may be an array of tuples of pages, so that way we've got left page, right page, and just treat them as a group, since we know they would be a group. They would be grouped anyway. And then page 1, page 2 is just left, right. And just, it's an array of tuples. But for now, we're just going to do page 1. All right, that seems to have worked. And then let's do this. There we go. So we'll do our page.page text. Couldn't parse global resource. Because it's not a global class and it's only available on ready. This is going to be a pain. I mean, if I take this back to a string, no, it still didn't like it. But see, it likes it again. Okay, maybe it's just Godot being finicky. Although I get the feeling in another second, once it gets a chance to reload the scene, it's going to hate this again because on ready we initialize this. But then I don't even know if I need this. Yeah, we should just have access to the class directly. So this should be fine. So then if we go back to our OCR manager. Yes, yes, yes. You're all unhappy. Okay. So then we would have... I mean, we could just do this, right? Fine, we'll just do current page. So we're going to initialize our page. And then here, we're going to do GameState.addPage. And we're not going to do page text, we're just going to do page, current page. And that can go away. But add page is not a thing. It is now. And I'm going to get rid of this too. We're not going to add the page text. We're going to do something different probably with the bounding boxes. But for now, let's just keep it simple. Yeah, especially since we're printing this, this helps me see things. Well, we shouldn't be printing, we should be logging, but whatever. Yeah. And then now, okay, so now we got our new page coming in. And so what I would do is self.page1 equals page. And what we would probably do we would do page num here. We'll just pass it through. That's going to be an integer. And really, this will just be like current page one. We'll get to it. So for now, we're only dealing with page one anyway. So we do page one here. Dot page text. So here's where let me clean that up. So now here we can do our so we would do merge pages. In fact, I'm even just going to comment this out because that's not what we're going to do. So now we have our new page. And so we could do if not self.page1. Then we can just do this. And we're done. And then the page text would display as normal because we're going to go get page 1, get its page text. Print page 1. Oh, because page 1 was being passed through before. This really should be like this, right? So page text is an array of text. Fine. Yeah. Again, we'll get rid of that soon. Let me take a quick break here for a second. Check in on things. All right, so yeah, now we got to merge our pages. Else, and I'll call a simple function for this. So I'm going to do self.page1 equals merge pages. Self.page1 and page. In fact, we will call it new page, since it's one that we haven't done anything with yet. We haven't accepted it into our situation here. And again, I could probably turn this into a ternary operator as a one-liner. So then that makes this just all nice and clean. It's just business logic. And then down here, we can rip this out and replace it with whatever the logic's going to be for updating the rendering of the page in the scene in Godot. But for now, let's pull this out to here. So there is our function. There is our function. And it is going to return a OCR page. And it's got to pass. What do we call this? Page 1, page 2. I might rename it. Is it a colon there? Fine. We'll do var final page is gonna be of that type, which will just be page 1 for now, and we'll return final page. Okay, so it's happy. So what do we need to do? How's this gonna work? By the way, let's run our test suite again. Make sure we didn't break anything. Pretty sure we didn't. Better to know now than after we've written another 100 lines of code. Yep, text still looks as good as it did before, which is not great, but that's fine. We get a score at 80. Now the question is, here's the cool part. When I run this test suite, game state should actually, and I should be able to confirm this, should keep track of the page. So unless I explicitly reset it in the test suite, if I run multiple tests, we would actually merge those results together. And so in theory, after I write this merge logic, what we should see is the first test would run and score an 80. The second test would run and it would increase the score. In theory. So, how are we going to do this? So we go to OCR Manager. We have these complex nested objects. We have a page. That's fine. I do have the distance measure logic that'll tell me. That's interesting. Where is that? Compute text similarity. Interesting. You know, I thought about trying to do some sort of clever thing where I would, you know, look at a given line in the text and see if the two lines were similar, and if like 3 lines in a row within the block of text were similar enough, or at least, you know, if you took, because one approach, like the really complicated approach, which I wanted to avoid, was be like, look at a given line here, like this line, not good. We've got 19, 3, and 3, so that's a low scoring line. I wouldn't use that for comparison. This one, 80, 60, 60. We got a couple of 90s here, a couple of 90s and an 80. Maybe you could use that, but I would probably say, you know, you would want to take 3 90s in a row. Here we go. This line's got 3 in a row right there. So I would take that phrase and I would search all existing pages for that phrase. And if I find a line that matches that phrase, then it would say those 2 lines might be the same line. And then you could compare the rest of the line to confirm that. That would be some complicated logic, but it would work. However, I already have logic to score for our testing purposes, to score things. And this takes 2 blocks of text and computes their similarity using like a well-known like distance algorithm. Where we strip out anything that's not quite right. Yeah, the Levenstein distance of them. And this is fast. And it's written in C++ to be fast. So whereas the other approach would require a lot of GD script code, I think I'll just cheat for now and just say, hey, are the 2 blocks of text very similar? And if they are, then that's what we'll go with. Okay, so what is this function called? Compute text similarity. I think I'm using that in the test harness. Again, if nothing else, I'll just use this as my starting point, and if I don't like it later, I can always change it. So in game state then, we would do page 1 dot page text and page 2 dot page text. And then if score is greater than, I don't know, let's 95.0. Let's do that. I mean, I should expect even higher than that, right? That's a good question, because I already know I'm having quality issues with my individual scans where they are 80%. Let's go with 80. This might be tricky because, ooh. Let's go with 80, because I would have to assume that 2 separate pages yeah, okay. But anyway, I know the 2 pages are identical for now, so let's use this. And then, okay, now how do we merge them? So we have our final page. Now we know that we need to merge them. I guess we could go line by line. Again, we know I guess the question is, do I still need to do like the line matching? Because there is a chance they would start with different lines, right? By the way, I know, because I'm opening the book right now, that this is the first line of the page. This is actually the header of the page. What to do, what to do, what to do. I'm trying to think of like a performant way to do this. Maybe, I mean, as always, maybe we start with the naive approach. I mean, if we know there's high similarity, then we know that we OCR'd most of the page. And the top is as good as anything to compare. And if we failed it, okay, we can just, let's make the assumption that we have the top third of the page each time. So then what I would do is we would get our line. B-box is also interesting. That's a whole other problem I got to think about, but I guess we could do So we have, what do we have? We've got a page which is made up of lines, which is made up of words, which have scores. So maybe what we would do is basically like go get I guess, okay, our first OCR page, our current OCR page, is the one we've displayed on the screen, and we're trying to figure out whether or not the new page can enrich it at all. So really, for the new page, like, go find first word that scores high. I guess the problem also is we could be off by a line easily. I already know that we could be off by a whole line. So we could assume that like the first scan got this line. And the second one missed it. The second one starts here. So we'd want to align those two. Interesting. So if we go and find the first word that scores highly, and for that, like, we're not even going to go to the 80s. We're going to say 90s. Do we then scan through until we find a match? But again, what if the other one doesn't have a high match there? We would scan the whole document. I guess we could limit it to in first 5 lines. Let's just do that. 5 lines only. If we can't match on that, we're going to fail anyway. Like, why bother? Like, the odds of this failing are pretty low. Search first 5 lines of existing page for a match. Ignore score. So if found, again, we're overthinking this. Let's simplify this. Grab line let's just start with line 1. Let's just do that. Line 2. Let's do that. Just for error rating. Error fixing. Compute distance for that line with the top 5 lines of page 1. I mean, I guess we're still doing the same thing, right? We're going to use the compute text similarity to find alignment. We got to figure out which lines are the same line. Um, I guess we're kind of like stepping through together in a way. Why do I feel like I'm missing something very basic here? That's just like a simpler way to do this. I'm sure there's a super simple way to do this. So we know the text is highly similar. I mean, I already know this is going to work for me. So let's just start with the most naive version. If same, start merging. Okay. Or I could just start by merging them. Like, let's just do that. And then I'll figure out, fine. To do, we might be off by a line or two here. Let's just do for line in page 2 dot lines. If no, hold on. Let's do var, there we go. Line index int equals 0. Do we have a length? Size? I think it's size, right? Yeah. Shoot. We have to do an old school good for loop here. Godot for GD script for loop. Or I could just do for line in page 2 dot lines. Right. So we'll just loop over them. Can I just do that? Underscore. Can we enumerate? GD script enumerate. Const define what? No. Like All right, so it sounds like we might have enumerate. For IDX line in enumerate lines. Let's try this again. Var foo is an array of int. It's going to equal right. So then we should be able to do for IDX bar in foo print bar. Expected in or colon after 4. Maybe, oh no, I'm sorry. It has to be enumerate, right? Does this maybe have to be a tuple? Loop variable name. Let's go past year. All right, you're being annoying. Let's see, where am I? In GD script for Godot 4.5, is there a way to enumerate a list so that I can work, work on each element with its index as well? Oh, the array doesn't enumerate. Okay, maybe that's it. But that's not quite right, right? Oh, that's a tuple. You know, let me do range. I kind of like that better for this use case anyway. For index int in range yeah, okay, fine. I'll do that. Because I need to access both of them anyway. So we'll do range lines.size. Right. And then I don't need this index here anymore. And we're going to go off page 2 for this. So then we would do what does this need to be? So this needs to be so for each line, see, I know I have the issue also where, see, this is what makes it so complicated, is because I've seen this happen where if the page is warped a little bit, the beginning will be good, and then at some point we just lose the words. They just drop out. So to properly merge them, we do kind of have to expect like a partial match, and then we're either enriching a word or we're adding a word to the end. This is a little bit more of a nuanced hard problem than I originally thought it would be. I just kind of assumed my brain would think of something smart when I got here, and I'm sure it will, but let me think. Okay, well, I could be lazy and just do a simple if one line is better than the other line, just pick the better line. That gets us out the gate real fast, right? Let's try that. So we do var line 1 equals OC, this is going to be kind of annoying to do this. So we'll do right? We're just doing that. And then we can do that. We'll do line score. And it's not this, right? It's line text, right? Oh, but that's not what I need. No, this isn't right. This is what I'm going to do. Get average score. Let's do that per line. We'll implement that method. And then if line 1 score is greater than line 2 score, actually, we'll do if 2 is greater than final page dot lines IDX equals there we are. So now we're just basically saying, look, by default, we already have line 1 here, right? Our final page is already a clone of page 1. We're starting there and assuming it. If page 2 gets a better score, though, then we'll replace that line in the final page. And then merge pages will update. And then the next time we come through, it'll have its update. So that means every time we OCR, each of these lines should just get a little bit better. Now again, that's assuming the whole line got better. So I think this is a nice, simple way to do this instead of trying to go word by word and make it super complicated. I'm going to stop soon because I kind of need to eat, but fine. Let's try to finish this, though. It'd be great if I at least had this part working. So remind me again. Yeah, I'll just go quick with the AI. AIs are pretty great for answering things. Perfect. I went with the range approach. New question, though. New question, though. I have a class that has a list of classes on it. So we're saying example. And the other class is I would like to get an average score for a given line. How can I do that? You can add a method to your class to calculate the average score. Yep, here we go. Average score, float. Words is empty. Yeah, I don't care. Total score. I didn't want to do that. Or if you prefer a more functional approach, reduce. Func sum. Okay, I guess I'll go with the ugly version. I mean, in Python, I could have done, yeah, like a list build, like a list comprehension. But I guess that would have ended up with doing something like this anyway. I don't want to do the anonymous function version. I just want to keep it simple. Okay, let's do that. Okay, and then let's tab that over. Oh, actually, no, it's going to be an int. Didn't like that. And then this is still a problem. Okay, there we go. We do the float. That's not right, is it? Wouldn't it be that? And, you know, if I really wanted to, I could cache this by setting it as a property on the line, and then at the right opportune moment, if we really wanted to be efficient about it, what we would do is when we get to here, we would check to see if if it has an average score, and if it doesn't, then call get on it. And then what that would mean is then for line 2, yeah, we would always call it. But for line 1, most of the time, and I could even do a little shortcut up here, like if the first one doesn't have it, or even better, if not here, then loop through them all and call get average on them, would be a way to do it. And I could do that after, like, so short circuit here, get the results, display them, and then immediately after we're done results, then do it. Little performance optimizations that probably don't matter. I'd wait to see how slow all this logic is before I try even thinking about speeding it up. Okay, so that should work. This should now work. So I wonder what's going to happen if I run this. Let me add some log statements. Merging pages. We'll do log scored above 80. Actually, well, let's just do score here. Okay, so then if we did that, then we would get our final page, here. But then what are we doing? Well, the test suite, how are you doing it? Log individual result. Gets called when we run the next test. And we don't run the next test until we call this on text scanned. But, you know, then that adds the page. Okay. So it's not like it's doing it with a signal. We're immediately doing the add page. And then the test suite then runs next test, which logs individual. And then we get our page 1 text. Page 1 text, just the text, which we then clear out. But I don't want to clear it out. I mean, I think I do if I want to run each test individually, but we would do the merging and then we would get the page text. So we're going to clear this out, but that's okay. It's going to get cleared out every time anyway. Let me turn this off. That's going to be a reminder to myself anyway. I got to do something smarter here to decide whether or not I want the individual tests to stack or not. Because right now I do. I want to run a stacked test to see if I get better scores. I mean, let's just run the whole test suite. We're just going to say line by line, the better line wins. Now this could get screwed up if the lines don't align, as it were. So that got an 83. That got an 83. Interesting. So look at that. They're all exactly 83. Then Shaky got an 87. So the average scores did go higher. So it did something. I wouldn't be surprised if we had like weird misalignment where now like we probably trashed this line here because one of them didn't have it. But then that means the last line like is probably duplicated somewhere. That's interesting. So does my test harness allow me to like pick and choose the tests I'm going to run? Don't think so, right? So I'm going to call that a success. I mean, the extra arguments would be -- test specific test. Maybe. Options without an argument will be present in the dictionary. Test. Yeah, no, this doesn't support more than one. And I don't really feel like changing that. What's interesting is, let's go back to our previous test results. So final score after cleanup, 81.84. This score jumped up to 81.84. This score also actually, and then this one dropped down. By the way, what was the final text? A wonderful. Actually, yeah, we should see it. So this is shaky. I mean, we merged the pages. I mean, look, we did merge pages. I like it worked, which, you know, that's pretty cool for it to work on the first try. So we called merge pages and score was 81. The similarity. Score was 72. So we didn't merge. Let me think here. So we did the first one. And we didn't do any merging because it's the first one. And that scored an 83. We did the second one. We're merging pages. Low similarity. Ooh. So we kept the first one. Now in this case, that's actually the right call because we know that page one, like the first test, is much better than the second test. So we probably should have just kept... Yeah, I don't need to log this because we're already logging it. So in this case, yes, we should have just kept page one. Because also this would be an indication that, hey, maybe we're like a different page in the book. Actually, honestly, see, that's the tough part. If the score is low, in theory, we should take the new page then. No, that's not smart. You know, it's almost like... Yeah, I mean, you could do the page similarity test here. I mean, yeah, arguably this logic should be pulled up to here because we're checking to see if it's the same page or not, right? You could argue if the similarity is low, okay, no, so here's the other factor that we have to factor in here. We just got an average score, right? Okay, this makes sense. So we just computed an average score. Get average score. We need to do that for the page as well. So what we're going to have to do is... Yeah, I think I'm going to have to do that whole like caching thing, basically. Var average score. Yeah, okay, I need to do this early. Is a float. And then this it's going to have an average score. And so then this is going to have to flow up here as well. Because we're going to do yeah, so get average score is a float. And then, so we're going to do lines here, right? And this actually would be a float. Oh, fine. Yeah, that is total score. Right. Let's just make it clear with the self, so that way there's no confusion. Okay, so now this then recursively calls to get the average scores. And in fact, we will do self dot average score equals return self dot average score. If line dot average score was it get average score, right? Or even better, if self dot average score return self dot average score. And we would make this private. Yeah. So that's a private variable that you would never access directly. And then this is just back to that. So now I can just say, just go get it off of the line. And then the line is going to say, if I've got it, return it. If I don't got it, compute it and return it. Just in case, you know, for when we do need to access it multiple times. So that way it's keeping track of its own memory. This is a proper use of classes, by the way, in my mind. You know, oftentimes you'll see a lot of people get used to using classes for everything. I hate classes. I prefer function-based everything if I can. But when you're using classes correctly, the class is kind of keeping track of its own state and memory in a way. I've seen so many uses of classes where they have all these functions, all this big complicated stuff, and it's just like all this could have been easily rewritten as a simple function because you're not doing anything special. It's like if you like the classic like animal class, like if you have dog and cat and you know animal.speak and dog does bark and cat does meow. Okay, great. Are you calling speak multiple times on that instance? If you're calling it multiple times, then sure, great, yes, do it that way. That way, every time you call .speak, it's gonna take that action over and over again. But so many times I'll see people build a class, and then like this gets called once, and this gets called once. And oh, by the way, this always gets called after this one. But it doesn't get called here, no, it gets called somewhere else. And it's like, why did you even have a class? You could have just had simple functions. Anyway, rant over. But I mean, this actually is now making a lot of sense. Right, so it has its total score, and then we'll do the same thing here. If self dot, and in fact, we will, again, make this private. If it has an average score, return it. Otherwise, And we could also be slightly smarter here. I don't love that. I like doing the short circuit, but at least this means we get a single return statement. So if we don't have an average score, then we do our logic. So if we don't have an average score, otherwise we just always return, right? So there we go. And now I can go back over to game state here. And I don't have to worry about whether or not there's going to be a recompute happening here. I can just focus on business logic here. So what I can do is let's do our scores. So we can do if new page dot get average score is greater than, well, we may not care. Let's think about this. So basically, if similar, then we do like if new page score isn't horrible, merge. Because basically it's like, look, if, better yet, let's invert that. If only do anything if new page score isn't horrible. Because if we're down below, if the average score, if we've got low confidence, but then that, because if they put the book down and we OCR, we may just go find a couple words in the scene and then we'd have high confidence. Interesting. Maybe we do like, so this could mean nothing. This means nothing without context around it. Could be more like if it's like if word count is like similar to word count. So we've got similar word counts. In the ballpark, then that means see, this gets complicated, right? Because what if we're starting a new chapter? Then the chapter title might have a picture, and the word count could be like half for that page. I mean, I guess when in doubt, we would want to go with new page. That would be the default behavior. Yeah, there's a lot of variables to think about here. So yeah, I would want to keep track of like a minimum word count. It's like a new chapter word count kind of deal. Because we're kind of just saying, like, we always have to be ready for them to turn the page. And if they turn the page, then the similarity is going to be way off. But if they put the book down, like, we're going to OCR something, and it can't be garbage. Like, so it has to be... Yeah, I mean, I guess we would have... I mean, I guess the OCR logic in the back end with OpenCV, let's assume and trust that we wouldn't be getting the signal and we wouldn't be adding a new page unless we actually detected a page. Because if we fail to detect a clean page, and I already have some logic there for this, we would short circuit and we would just cut out and not even bother, not even waste our time. So we can be pretty confident here that we've got a new page. And that the page is valid. Okay. Sure. Now, word count being similar. You know, the person reading could have their hand covering a portion of the page. Their arm could be kind of in the way. You know what I mean? But we're talking about whether or not we merge, right? So let's assume word counts are similar. But then why would we ever care? Because we already know we've... A given book, the word counts are either going to be similar or we're going to be on a title page. The reason why I was saying this shouldn't come first is what if they put the book down? But if they put the book down, we're not getting a page signal. So I think we go back to this then. That makes sense. So if the new page score isn't horrible, you know, like below 50%, then we check similarity. See, this is where I might have to do that phrase similarity. Go pull out a phrase. You know, I could do that and just say... Yeah, I might have to do something like that. But maybe we don't care about similarity anyway. I mean, I guess it's... Well, we check similarity. I guess if similar, in theory, we would just merge. Else, take page 2. Right? Again, we're only getting this signal. Note. Should only be hitting this logic if backend found a decent page. So we know they're looking at something they want to read at this point. if we failed to OCR at all, we could just skip. I don't think that would happen, but I mean, I could see scenarios under which like the score is just terrible, right? Because we failed to align any images for whatever reason. Maybe the hand was really moving. Their hand was really moving in that moment, or the lighting was terrible, and we're just like we're well below like 50. You know, we got low scores on everything. There's low confidence on everything. That just means Tesseract just did a terrible job. If that happens, we shouldn't do anything. We should keep them where they are. And then the next cycle of OCR should fix that. If the score isn't horrible, then that means the score is decent enough to do similarity. Yeah. If they're similar, we merge them. Otherwise, we take page 2. Okay. Okay, so if new page dot get average score is greater than 80. It's a big if. And then if I don't like how long this is. If score is higher than 80, then we do else. Turn to a new page. There. Now, eventually, what I would do is go find pages that they're similar to. So if we're merging pages, we don't need to do this score check. I don't need that log statement either. So we can kind of just ditch that. I'm going to do Shift Tab. So if we've decided we're merging. Like, it's happening. Yeah. So let's talk about our other scenario. We came through the new page. When we hit that bad page, will be low. So we would skip that and we would stick with the first page. The third test scenario, though, we would be above 80. Let's just go with 50% similarity. Even 40, because I know the similarity was off on some of them. Let's try rerunning this. And let's skip, because we don't need to rebuild. Oops. Yeah, run. There we go. 81, not bad. For align frames, right? The second one should be 81.8. It is. Now we should start enriching. Again, we're at 81.8. Oh, error. Average score. We lost average score somewhere. Nope, we're okay there. What are you complaining about? $59. Oh, we don't need the if check anymore. That was a typo. Yeah, because the page can now just say, go get it. And the line. Yeah. All right, let's try this again. $81. We're almost 82. 81.8. This one should be 81.8. Yep, it is, because it reuses it. So even though we had a bad scan, we kept the previous one. Interesting. So we stuck around 81.8. Interesting. Don't we compute a... Do we skip text similarity? Because this should be happening... I think we're skipping something, right? I should see this. I should see those logs. And if we didn't merge, we would have gone to the new one, and the new one was going to score pretty high, I think. All right, one last little run, and then I am kind of hungry. It goes too fast for me to see what's going on. Again, this one does bump up, so what happened? Did we... Computing similarity. See, now we get this line here. Text similarity 81. So we merge the pages. Now, if I wanted to turn this off, I could just do 95 here. And let's see. So our average score was an 83. Let's see if shaky goes back up into the 90s. So we had all 81s basically, and then an 87. 81s and an 87. Now we should have like an 81, a 50 something. Oh no, because it's scored low, so it probably... Interesting that those... Let's see, this one hit 92. Which is interesting. Okay, I'll have to take a look at that and see what's happening. Again, I'm doing line by line merging. I probably could do word merging. And if we did word merge, like a, yeah, per word merging on lines that we know are the same line, then what we would probably get to then is that probably would move the needle. Because right now we're like expecting a whole line to be better, which means at best, probably at best, like I would get back to like 92 here. Because I think it's unlikely that one of these has a single whole line where all the words in that line are better than this test. Because this test just kind of turned out really well. But there could be individual words within this test that these could fix. All right. Got something to play with. I think that'll work though. Page 2 is the new one, right? New page. Yeah. Okay, well I could go down to the word level. Basically take this and go down. Instead of merge pages, merge lines, and then go down to the line level and... yeah. And we could do a gut check to confirm that the two lines are very similar. By the way, what is the speed on that? So 1/10 of a second, not even 1/10 of a second. Down to here. So I can't see these intermediary steps. But we're talking like not even 1/10 of a second. Okay. So I'm not really worried about performance then. To be fair, this is also when it's running locally versus what'll happen when it's on the headset. So it could definitely be, you know, who knows, 1/4 of a second to do all this. But again, it wouldn't, because our first path through, we would just skip and go right to rendering. So it's okay for the second pass through if we're a little bit slower. All right, well, I will take a look at that off camera, and when we hang out again on Wednesday, I will probably have some interesting progress on this. I'm going to call merging done. So then that means on Wednesday, I'll probably figure out the kinks with this. I may even have started on this. But if nothing else, on Wednesday, we'll probably be working on these two things. Which will be like, how does this render? And then I would love to get to like fancy things like, okay, for words that we don't have a lot of confidence in, maybe we gray them out or we put a little red underline underneath them or something like that. Because I would love it if I opened the book in front of me, saw the OCR results come in. They're probably going to be pretty slow again, so I may even take a stab at improving speed. Not really worrying about quality, just can I make it go burr, and not take less than 10 seconds to get the OCR in. But then what would be nice though is as I'm staring at the pages, all of a sudden slowly you see some of those red lines texts disappear. And instead of replacing them, then I could do cool things like have it fade in. So it would be cool if like maybe that text is a little fuzzy or a little faded. And then as we get good OCR results, we kind of update just that word with something that's like nicer looking. Anyway, I got a lot of cool thoughts on how we could do that. But assuming this works, so I'll probably do the like per word merging. And I think that I do want to believe that should move the needle. Assuming it does, I would also then, so I would do per word rendering on the page and then per word merging and per word updating. And if I did all that, I think I would see one, it would be a cool effect to watch. And then two, I think that could like solve the problem of OCR. And then I could maybe even then compromise and say, hey, look, let's just make OCR go faster, knowing that eventually the quality gets there after a couple passes. Yeah, that's interesting. I have some thoughts on that. All right, well, anyway, let's close that out, and then yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep this open for the moment, but yeah, this task is basically done, and then we'll move on to the next task. So anyway, thank you for hanging out with me, and we'll chat with you on Wednesday.